welcome everybody to the stream. Sorry I did start a bit late. I got a little jab yesterday and I was feeling a little weird, but we're going to continue with this stream because this is a good one and so many of you have submitted your articles for me to read and I have 325 to get through. So I have to get started now. If you don't know, I am reading through the, oh, hello, a lot of people are in the chat already. Welcome. I see eccbooks. Good evening from Massachusetts. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Dream Cartographer, of course, with her dancing emojis. And, tlcassis likes the dancing emoji. Colonel 101 says hello, and yes, it was the COVID jab. I was already feeling a little weird because other things, so that just added to it. I've been kind of groggy today, but I'm okay. I just am trying to loosen up a bit. Wild Zoo Guy is here. tlcassis says it's not 7 a.m. That's right. So this time it is 7 p.m. and I try to do this so that a lot of these people I coordinated with, and they are a lot of them are in the EST time zone, and they said the evening is best. So that's why I'm streaming now. I do know that a lot of people though might not be able to stay up this late, especially if they're not in the EST time zone, if they're in other time zones, whereas midnight, Dream Cartographer says midnight jam, which means it is very, very early for Dream Cartographer. And I thank you for joining. If you do at any time have to drop out, feel free, because I know that rest is important. But yeah, I try to coordinate these so that everybody can kind of have a time to watch, but I know that it's not possible for everybody to automatically be able to watch at one time, especially because there's so many people from around the world, which is an awesome thing, by the way, because I love how so many people from around the world are joining together to do creative things, and I'm honored that so many people from around the world are wanting to watch my streams. That's amazing to me. But yeah, if you are not able to catch it live, or if you have to drop out for any reason, do remember that I always repost these on my YouTube channel, and I will put that in the chat for you guys. In fact, if, let's see, handsome co-host, I don't know, he might still be using his little, oh, he's back, yes! He stopped using his little, what were we calling it? Everybody had an alias that day in the stream. Handsome co-host had an alias too, and today he's back as handsome co-host. So if you click the little link and you can follow me everywhere, you can actually see my YouTube channel, and once you click that, just follow me on YouTube, subscribe, and you will be able to see all the past streams, including the one I did yesterday morning, and that one was at 7 a.m. That one was. Colonel 101 says the little brother. Oh, yeah, so Wild Zoo is my brother, by the way, so thanks for hanging out. There was Joe Paleontologist in one chat. He's my other brother as well. I see strixxline is here. Hello, and that is a cool cat. Dream Cartographer and strixxline with their cool sunglass emojis. Colonel might have to jump out early because it's midnight there too. I appreciate you guys trying to join in, and I understand if you have to jump out early. That's totally understandable. So if you do want to see the rest, you can go ahead and go to my YouTube channel. Wild Zoo Guy does say he's my little brother, but he's bigger and more muscular. That is indeed correct. He is bigger and more muscular. Okay. Really, in public, people think that he's older than me. They're surprised to know that he's not. But anyway, let's get into this. It is the reading streams, and we have quite a few articles to get through today. There are so many cool leaders of their people, and I'm trying to judge these all because I tasked myself with this hefty duty of going through these articles, and there's such interesting articles. We only did 3 yesterday, but they were very informative and interesting. And one of the users, Warlandable Anvilites. I was calling them Ano Nomad, but it's like, oh no, Nomad. That was their name. So I'm sorry for butchering their name the whole time, but now I know how to pronounce it. If I ever do butcher any of you guys' names, please do let me know. If you're here in the chat, you can let me know. I don't mind at all. But yes, Wild Zoo Guy says we do a little trolling though. Team Chaotix. Love chaos, says Colonel. Alright, so let's get into the chaos. First we have Ishet or Ishet. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but it is by the Doctor 292. So we are going to look at this article. So we are going on to read these great leaders of their people and see the character developments and stuff. I love character development. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to judge this article. So let's see. This one is not very lengthy, but it's great to be nice and concise and read over it. So this, to start off, is some beautiful art here. I'm not sure who made it. Yesterday, I totally skipped over that there were some credits. And yes, see, there are credits here. It says all work belongs to the Doctor 292 unless otherwise noted. Credit to the world cover, NASA. So I'm assuming this is the world cover. Let's make sure. Oh no, this is the world cover. But still, I don't know if that means that this is also NASA. It does look like some otherworldly plane. It looks very nice. Let's get into this article. So I'm not sure how to pronounce the character's name, but it is a male, he, him. He can be seen wearing a long white cape and a serious expression. He's always surrounded by 2 bodyguards. In emergency times, he has a group of soldiers. So he sounds like a very important person because he's always guarded. Let's see. A personal history. He was a child of the royal family and was an only child. The rank of majesty was passed down to him when his mother died in battle and was in his 20s. So I'm thinking he was in his 20s when his mother died in battle, so he got passed on. So I guess he's like a king, I guess. He handled the responsibility of king quite quickly and used the power of his people to empower and motivate him. When Astraeus was first under attack, I'm thinking Astraeus must be the kingdom that he's over. He didn't know what to do, but tried to maintain control. He learned a great lesson of responsibility, and that and king, well, I believe it should be a king, should do anything to protect his people. Okay. When more battles started to happen, he has remained calm, but when a great loss struck them 30 years earlier, when a great loss struck them 30 years earlier, he had a hard time contemplating it and tried to handle it respectively. So, I think I understand what they're saying. I think they're saying when, I guess he'd been a king for over 30 years, but like when things first started happening, he wasn't really prepared. He had a hard time figuring out, but he tried to handle it good. But now he's become more mature, he's remained calm, and he's able to do it. So taboos are no betraying the throne and no betrayal of any kind. Trust is everything. That's good. Likes and dislikes. Like all of the Irzils, he has a great dislike for their enemies, the Cuers. Let's see. This links to another article. I love how they have the pronunciation here. QARs or QRRs, I guess. So that's a good thing, because I was about to say I'm not sure how to pronounce this. It would be great, as we talked about last time, to highlight, you know, things that are hard to pronounce, things that are conlang or made up words. It's great to have that little pronunciation there, just so it doesn't take readers out of the story when they're trying to pronounce the names. And I don't know. Oh, it says, like all of the Irzils, he has a great dislike for their enemies. So I feel like these, however you pronounce this, are kind of what he is. And he has a dislike for his enemies, which are these QRRs, or however it's pronounced. Although he wants peace like millions of others. He never gives up hope for his people and likes doing the right thing, kind, nice, and sympathetic. His reign. He has been the king for over 70 years and has gave, I think it should be given, his people hope during the darkest times. He's considered a great leader by most people, especially during the massacre. So there's, once again, another link to another battle here, article. So let's go to the sidebar. Curtain status, to keep his people safe from harm. Honorary and occupational titles, Majesty. Age, he's 100 years old. Current residence, Astraeus, so we're right. That was where he's reigning from. He's male. He has light yellow eyes, greenish blue skin tone. He's 6 feet tall. And his known languages are Pinganus-Gabian. Alright. Who made this one? Yes, I'm about to put it in the chat. The name is The Doctor 292. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that in the chat. So if you would like to read the article yourself and click those cool links and figure out more about that world, go ahead and do so. That is the link there. So yes, to sum up this article, as we talked about before, personally I just like when the sidebar is the same length as the contents. There were a couple of grammar issues, but other than that, it was pretty nice and to the point. I could tell this may have been a kind of rushed article, which I admit I've done this. Yes, while Zugai says Doctor Who, it may be a Doctor Who reference. That's what I was thinking about as well. But yes, I personally, Dream Cartographer says they like the gradient on the title. That's right, yes. That's a nice little touch there. This world does look nice and neat, and it's like good. Like the background is nice. The world cover is nice. It kind of gives me an idea of how the world would be. I'm thinking this might be a sci-fi world, especially when I click their enemies, and this is how their enemies look. So this was made with Hero Forge, which is a nice little tool where you can kind of model 3D characters for your world. They do a lot of things with World Anvil, and it's nice to have that little art there, and it helps you to know what kind of, like, put you in the mind of how this world is and how the characters look. So yes, this is a very interesting article. It's short and to the point. It let me know about the character. What I would like to know is just a little pronunciation guide here to know how to pronounce his name. And of course I know that there's probably some more things. Oh, I skipped over. It says special abilities telepathic, so he's telepathic. Yeah, other than that, yeah, this is a nice to the point article. And I would just suggest to either put some art or some links to articles in the sidebar so that it can extend to the same size as this here, or as one of the chat members suggested yesterday, if you want to cut it off here, you can put, if you're familiar with World Anvil, you can put the full width footer and just put the rest of the words in there, so that can go under the sidebar as well, and it can look like a continued article. But I don't think they're able to do it because they filled out these little prompts here, and these prompts are automatically part of the body of it. But anyway, great little article. That was interesting, and it did make me want to know more about that world, and it made me want to know more about the character. So that was awesome. Next, we're going on to Callidus Iratus by tlcassis. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I believe that you are in the chat. If I got something wrong, please do let me know. I'm going to link in the chat for everyone to follow along if they would like to. This is the article. Ooh, that is some interesting art there. tlcassis says, yep, you're right. So yes, I pronounced it correctly. All right, and the name is Vincere Callidus Iratus. And I think it sounds like sincere, like Vincere. Is that correct? That's an interesting name. The first vincier of the Latinus Sant, Callidus Iratus, placed duty to her people above all else. Alright, cool. Cover image, Shutterstock. That's good. You have your credits. That's awesome. Shall I please myself at the expense of my people when their need is so desperate? I cannot find it in me to do so. Such is not the way of duty or honor. Vincier Callidus Iratus, first matriarch of the Latinus Sant. That's a nice touch. Always putting quotes there is a nice touch. The first leader of the Latinus Sant, which I love how you did a tooltip so I can figure out more about it. Latinus Sant is a vibrant community on the Isle of Novam Domum. So yes, that was a great tip there, because I did not know what Latinus Sant was, and that was a good addition. Just a little tooltip where I hover over and I find out a little bit of information that I need to know. Callidus Iratus was born a prime daughter among the Dark Elves to Flavac Iratus, matriarch of Clan Iratus and ally to Chinth Irenox, matriarch of Clan Irenox. She was third to inherit the clan, but renounced her femininity and became Sterilis Electio, see consorts. So that is good also. You put a tooltip so that I can figure out. So in a civilization that struggles for survival and females have all the power, males compete with each other to raise their status and become leaders in their own right. Okay. Upon her maturity, he entered the Iratus military and served honorably for 40 years before the quest for the tree. As Sterilis Electio, Callidus was frequently targeted by his sisters, and as they struggled for dominance and possession of power in Clan Iratus, since he would only need to birth a child to reclaim his position as third in line to inherit the matriarchy. Callidus survived 3 well-documented assassination attempts. I think that the word A is not necessarily. Callidus survived 3 well-documented assassination attempts in the first 5 years of his change in status, which he killed both the assassin and the employer, and it is believed that others occurred during his tenure as Sterilis Electio. However, as it became clear that he had no immediate interest in claiming the matriarchy from his sisters, the frequency and severity of these attempts on his life died out. After his 12th year as Sterilis Electio, his close younger sister, Altraheti, ascended to the position of inheritor, and he was allowed to pursue his military career in peace. Callidus commanded a 50 squad under his uncle Fidelis Iratus, and his unit was assigned to the expedition to eliminate the dwarves from the path of the light. See Uprising of the Dark. Once again, another tooltip. Led by Gen Irenox, the Dark fought their way to the entrance of the Temple of the Great Dwarf. Under his uncle and Gen Vincier Irenox, commander of the Dark Elf forces, he distinguished himself during this battle, earning the title Traitor Slayer. See The Loss, which is another tooltip. The Loss is a set of handwritten notes and the text of a speech made by Fidelis Iratus to the Dark Elf survivors of the Uprising of the Dark, which he carried until he died. When the Dark Elf survivors of the expeditionary force were exiled to Novam Domum, once again another tooltip, the inhospitable and rocky Isle of Novam Domum hides an entire community of unknown people. Mysterious. A leader, I'm not sure if that is an error, there's no either, was needed to establish a new community clan. Callidus wished to defer his uncle, but the soldiers, including Fidelis, were adamant that they must be led by a female. Callidus reluctantly agreed to take up this responsibility that he had spent his entire adult life avoiding, and became pregnant, reinstating her status as female and qualifying herself to lead the community. She spoke persuasively to the other Sterilis Electio amongst the survivors, and all agreed to bear children when faced with the community's need and the lack of options to fill it. Callidus ruled the Latinus Sant well. Under her rule, the community survived its first 2 years of deprivation and severe environmental adjustment, and eventually established itself on the island of Novam Domum. which is the inhospitable and rocky Isle of Novendome, hides an entire community of unknown people. Once again, same tooltip. Just in case we forgot. She was close friends to the dwarven advisor and priestess of the Allfather, Spessa, who was a component and shrewd advisor and crucial to the survival of the Dark Elves in their new world. By the time of Callidus' death, the community had grown to twice the number of the original soldier settlers. Callidus bore 17 children, 13 of whom lived to adulthood. During her reign, she was not plagued by assassination attempts, a testament to the respect with which she was held across the community. Her commitment to her people, her duty, and honor exemplified the finest ideals of Latinist society and earned her the title Vincier. Wow. So that was a very interesting article, and it was very informative, and it had a lot of tooltips at places where we were not sure what it was talking about. That is something that I really appreciate. One of the things I do see, of course, as I've been talking about with every article, this sidebar here is totally empty this time, which is fine, but I would suggest either having something in the sidebar or just eliminating the sidebar, because I believe that you can choose for it to override and not show the sidebar at all. I'm not sure if that is a Grandmaster feature. If it is, understandable if you cannot do it, if you have a journeyman or free account. But I would suggest that if a sidebar is there, at least utilize it somehow. You can put links to the articles. Like, I love how you have the tooltips here, but it's good also to have actual articles if you yes, so wow, so if I do click it, it does go to those articles. That's awesome. So I can hover over it just to see a bit of it, and I can also click it if I want to learn even more about it, which is awesome. I appreciate that. But that would be a great thing then, since you do have these articles, to just put article blocks in the sidebar just so it can fill up the sidebar. You could also put this quote in the sidebar if you'd like. See all these links somewhere. I just realized that. So there's a lot of things you could do to fill up the sidebar. You could add extra art. You could add article blocks, or you can move this quote here into the sidebar, just so that it can make things even and not look as naked. But other than that, the article was very, very informative, and I loved how you've had so many little tooltips to help us to understand about things that we didn't know. And it was a nice overview of the character and the character's beliefs and how the character is a great leader. So that one was quite good. Also, I like how you did credit your art, which this art is very interesting, by the way. Yes, that was a great one. And I see Josiasaurus is here. My other little brother. Hello. Hello, brother, he would say. Yeah, tlcassis says, still learning WA, which is right. You're still learning World Anvil, and for a still learning World Anvilite, this is quite a good article. And the most important part is that I can't talk about the tooltips enough. Because it's just, sometimes it takes you out of the world when you are reading something and then there's something weird that just totally, like, you're like, what is this? And then your brain can't rest because you don't know what it is, you don't know how to pronounce it, you don't know anything about it, and then you just kind of feel like, I'm out of the loop, what am I reading? I don't understand this. So I love how you did link those. That was the most important part. Yes, Dream Cartographer says, your page looks great so far, and that's correct. The page looks so great. Let's see. Dream Cartographer asks, how much does working with the sidebar involve custom CSS? Well, you can actually work with the sidebar without using custom CSS. There's a little tab in World Anvil. It's, I can go really quickly. Oh, no. I don't want to open one of those articles because I forgot. If I open it, then they're going to say that I edited it, and I'm not going to edit it before the summer camp is over. So I'm going to Winsome Board so that I don't accidentally edit something in Secret Age of Someone. And I'm going to go to a character that was already made, House of Avarder. Let's just go to Sindri here. Alright, so, where is the edit? Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to show you how to edit. So you can go here, sections. And when you click sections, it says sidebar sections. So you can do top, content panel bottom, bottom. So then you can also say display article sidebar override. It will force the sidebar to not display even if it has contents in it. So this doesn't need any CSS just to put something in the sidebar. Let's go to his page so you can see how it looks. And I bet he doesn't have a good sidebar either. Oh, it's okay. There still could be something here. So if we notice, his picture is here taking it up. Some of his character stats are here taking it up. But if I want to put something there, I can say sidebar bottom. And I can just say Magna. Character profile. And just doing this, it's going to be horrible because why would I do this? But if you see this happens, why would I do this? Did it work? Oh, it just added that. That's not what I'm trying to do. Alright, let's do something easy. I'm just gonna say, hello. Hello, my name is Sindri. And I have a rod staff. So that's just ridiculous. But now let me reload the page and see what happens. So see how it adds here, and like you don't need to know any CSS or anything to just put that there. You can also put pictures, images and stuff like that there. So yeah, you can literally just fill it up with quotes. Let's redo that. Oh, I can't redo it. Let's just put a quote and say, hello. And then you will see when I reload this, there's just a quote here that says hello. So that's what I mean by it's easy to just put something in the sidebar. You don't need to know much CSS to do that. And you might see that my interface looks different anyway, because it's not the what you see is what you get interface. This is just the black screen, whereas more for people who do CSS and coding and stuff like that, and you can see all the links and hyperlinks and stuff like that. But if you're doing the other one, if you have the other editor open where it looks like a white screen, you can still add stuff to the sidebar without stuff happening. Let's see. Gotta catch up. Wild Zoo Guy says, sup my brother Loki. To Josiah Source. tlcassis says, thanks. Wild Zoo Guy says, is that boy Sindri, the lad of the land? Yes, he's the lad. Colonel says, it's like I like putting little stories in many of my sidebars, as if someone is talking to or about the subject at hand, or sticking in music, art, maps, etc. That is exactly what I love to do as well, and I would like to show you a lot of times in my world of... I'm going to go back to Secret Agent Someone world, and I'm going to go to a page, not editing the page, but just viewing the world. Let's go to this page. Yep, see how Bruce Machete now, of course you see this is horrible because this part is not filled out. But I liken the sidebar to just put this here and put Commander McCox kind of talking to you about the character, or talking to you about the thing, and it's kind of like you are a newbie at Will-O-Wisp and he's telling you stuff like in first person about what you're going to have to deal with. So that's kind of like what Colonel was saying, and that is, yes, what I like to do as well. So that's awesome. Dazzlinkat is here. Hi all. Hello Dazzlinkat. Josiah Soar says hello brother, like I thought he would. Let's see, we're going to the next article, and this is Soave Lamoureux. I don't know. Soave Lamoureux by Rahjar. I'm not sure how to pronounce this either. Hopefully I'm not getting it too wrong, but if I am, if you are here, Rahjar or Rahjar, please don't be afraid to correct me. I'm not always good with these pronunciations. As I like to tell you guys, if you would like to put pronunciations in the article, that is very, very smiled upon by me, because I like to be able to know how to pronounce things. Yes, so Soave Lamoureux That might be it. I'm not sure. Who is he? I am Soave Lamoureux, enlisted executive advisor of the Nuova Zane Armed Forces, Your Imperial Majesty. What a long title. I only have the one, whereas you have many. Interesting. Alright. The young infante of Sarday raised his hand like a fighter acknowledging a hit. His book of titles had 5 pages, the longest of any ruler in Arnd. And in no small part because it was much easier to add titles than to grow the economy of Sarday or improve the standard of living. His counterpart in Kagome, the formidable Emalthea Kagome, had 4 pages, but the standard of living in Kagome was on an elevator, and their economy was poised to double within the next 5 years. By then, they'd be welcomed in the Gaba 12 with open arms. Alright, let's see. Your people and mine split from the same spring when the earthquake hit Deseo, which they do link this article, which makes sense. My people raised an unprecedented 100 million SAR dollars to help. In view of this, I wanted to visit Deseo. I want to see what you've done with the money. Quite reasonable, Your Imperial Majesty. I shall advise our security forces so that they can prepare. I've heard of your journal task force too. Why journaled? Because everything they do while on duty is recorded, preserved, analyzed. They are a political enforcement arm of our government, making sure our parties and elected officials do no harm. And they have the same requirement of record as bodyguards of your elected officials? Mostly, they are not required to record when assigned to the official residence of our officials within that residence. The Jade Bank in the cameras blinks. Oh, the Jade Bank in the cameras blanks out what's inside the geofence of each building, but will record something happening across the street if they are looking from within. I'm told that was your idea? I suggested some of these ideas when I was with the 26th Regiment, which is still part of JTF2. Do you still think those are all good ideas? Mostly yes. Being able to trust your leaders is important. Trusting your law enforcement is also important. Alright, so this was a very interesting article. It was kind of all done as a back and forth dialogue. That's an interesting way to come about it. Very interesting. One of the things I will say, let's see, is this, it doesn't tell about the art here. I don't know if this is the world art. Let's see. It doesn't tell where these arts are coming from that I can see. I do see it says Eric Rivero, all rights reserved. I don't know if that's just the writing or the art, but this is interesting art. One of the things, like I said, about this article, I would suggest, for one, most importantly, pronunciations. Some of these things seem like they are in different language, French, I believe, maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not certain myself. But even if this is another language, or if this is a made-up language, or if these are made-up words, it doesn't matter. If the article is written in English, it's just nice courtesy to display how some words are pronounced if they would be commonly mispronounced. Also, the second thing that I would say about this is, once again, the sidebar is not filled out at all as well. So the same article I would have that I had to tlcassis would be to either hide the sidebar altogether or just add some little various articles or quotes in the sidebar to fill it up. I do like how short and to the point this is, but I feel like this was kind of like an interview, which was a nice approach. The problem is I'm not always sure who's talking. I would think that this is the interviewee the interviewer, and then he tells who he is, and then it alternates from there. So that would make sense, but I'm still not sure. It says, who is he? It may be trying to say, who are you? Because I do understand some translation issues can translate it over to wrong tenses and stuff like that. But overall, very nice article. It's short and to the point, and it was in an interesting format of a conversation, which is pretty awesome. Let's see. eccbooks is here and saying hi to Dazzlinkat. Dream Cartographer loves Dazzlinkat's emotes. Let's see. Long time no see, says eccbooks. And Colonel says Dazzlinkat and eccbooks are special guests. Yes, they are special guests. All of you guys are special guests to me. I always appreciate each one of you joining in these streams. It's very awesome to see you guys in the streams and chatting and talking to each other and to me. I just feel honored that you're here. eccbooks says, just looked at my article and suddenly feeling bad about how long it is. It's okay. There was quite a long article yesterday morning. I did skim through it a bit. So if I need to, I will skim through yours a bit. Sorry. I will go back afterwards and read it more thoroughly myself. But to cut down on time, of course, I can, skim through it a bit. Dazzlinkat says that theirs is a wall of unedited text. Got a cover image and a character image, but that's the only nice thing about it. Well, so far, all of these articles have been pretty good. Even if I have said things to you guys about the sidebar or about pronunciations or tool tips and stuff like that, I still am appreciating reading all of these articles. There's something good about every article. So I really don't like to be like some kind of Simon Cowell butchering your article. And I don't see that there is even a need to do that, because all these articles are interesting in their own ways, and you guys are all approaching them in interesting ways. And it's always a joy to read. Sometimes I don't have time to read, and that's why it's just good to set some time aside to read, because reading is fundamental. eccbooks says that he won't at all be offended. Thank you. I appreciate it. Dazzlinkat says, don't mind the critiques. Embrace pointing this out. That's right. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm a person who doesn't mind critiques either. I like when people let me know things about my art. Colonel says nobody wants to be Simon Cowell. Yeah, except for Simon Cowell, of course. Yes, so next is a kitoypoy article, and eccbooks is excited about it. It is Emperor Harmonic Horizon. Already, it's an interesting name. And now I see this world, and a lot of times people might get intimidated when they see a world with so much CSS like this. This is so interesting. I like all the CSS and stuff. They have Best World Anvil 2021 nominee awarded to kitoypoy. The world is interesting, and they have the Siki sidebar like I was talking about yesterday morning, where even if the sidebar isn't as long as the article, it's still is static, so that it doesn't look like there's a gap there. But like I said, do not be intimidated. Do not think that, especially if you just joined World Anvil, or if you've been on there for the I think are they 5 years old now? I got an email celebrating their anniversary. World Anvil has been in existence for quite some time, and they are a pretty neat software that's always updating. But anyway, however long you've been world building, do not feel bad if you cannot do CSS. I can't do CSS as well as I would want to, and like I said, CSS is not everything. As long as you have a good story, as long as you have it's able to be understood, as long as people can follow it and read it, it doesn't matter if it's just a couple of words or if it's a whole wall of text. There's always something interesting you can do with it, and it is great. Oh no, look, it's kitoypoy here. It says, just hopped on, I'm literally in Target. Thank you for joining during your little shopping spree. Wild Zoo Guy says, nifty galicty. All right, yes, eccbooks does say that, let's see, who is it? Somebody said, oh, Colonel says, I want his bank balance. Dream Cartographer says, the Emperor has a dope name. Yes, strixxline says CSS is such a fun and wacky rabbit hole to get lost in. That's true. Kitoypoy says, gotta love Wi-Fi. Yes, I'm glad when you find out stores have Wi-Fi. That's awesome. Colonel says, I can't either. To me, the story or info you're getting down to is more important than anything is window dressing really to myself. Yeah, so like I said, you can have an article that's all doctored up with CSS and still not really be anything. But then you can also have a plain article that still is very interesting. So it all depends. Every level is great. There's good things. So let's get into it. Kitoypoy is waiting for us to read the article. Emperor Harmonic Horizon, which is a very interesting name. He, him, we all learn the tale of Harmonic Horizon as younglings, how the Dragon Emperor saved the Dragon Dauphin and let the Age of Monsters end so that the Age of Mortals could begin. It is sad to know what has become of him, says Instructor of Recruits. And there's a good link to the Instructor of Recruits article, and it tells who he is, who they are. And their pictures there too. That's nice. Then there's another quote from another person. Good old HH is the prime example of both don't meet your heroes and don't overstay your welcome. By all reports from Dragon Empire refugees, the Emperor has gone nuts and is still incredibly powerful. He has the full Mad King collection of secret police, a cult of personality, and a state of constant emergency, says Sergeant Killflayer, this rough, no-nonsense co-head instructor at Gold. He isn't afraid to tell it how it is. I got that from him. The Soulforged head instructor at the Orientation Auditorium in Gold Arrow Station is the first person that we got the quote from. So yes, let's see. Those were nice little interesting quotes about Emperor Harmonic Horizon. Let's find out about him. At the end of the Age of Monsters, the Emperor of the Dragon Empire. Once again, a good tool tip there, so we can know what the Dragon Empire is. Did I post the article? Yes, I did post it in the chat, but if you want, I'm going to post it again, just in case somebody just joined. If you want to follow along, because there's lots of cool places to click into and find out more about this world. The Emperor of the Dragon Empire was the benevolent gold dragon known as Harmonic Horizon. While fully believing in the supremacy of dragonkind, he still lamented the collateral damage from the ongoing War of the Burning Sky, which tells about which that is. The battles between the dragons and giants claimed the lives of millions of the small folk. Shortly after, the dragons retreated to their homeland, Darastrix Tolagan. A mysterious red dome went over. Mysterious red dome went up over the island, and the island vanished from the face of Irathia. The entire island was drawn into a pocket dimension, and the waters rushed in to fill the void where it once was. It reappeared thousands of years later on the Day of Dispelling. Once again, great tool tips. Harmonic Horizon was still emperor, but 100,000 years had passed for them instead of 6,000 or 7,000 years outside the dome. A new race called the Dragonborn inhabited the island. The inevitable end of an age. Harmonic Horizon was anointed as the 7th Emperor of the Dragon Empire, and at the end of the Age of Monsters, he inherited the War of Burning Skies from his imperial forebears and spent the centuries of his rule trying to end it. He ruled fairly and was a monstrous opponent on the battlefield. He accounted for many dragon victories through superior tactics of his own personal power alone. When the Dragon Dolphin and the Storm Giant Princess were exchanged before birth, Harmonic Horizon initiated the treaty that ended the war. In exchange for peace and the return of their heirs, the dragons and the giants were each given a homeland and the promise of a millennium of peace. The giants and dragons retreated to their respective homelands to rebuild after an age of war. The wait of millennia. The Dragon Empire disappeared under the so-called Red Dome of Heaven at the end of the Age of Monsters, just as the giants vanished with the Lost Valley of Solo. Which again, I like how they're all linked so we can understand what these are. Whether it was a curse from the gods or a mystical calamity remains a mystery. Regardless, while 6,000 or 7,000 years passed for the rest of the world, 100,000 years passed for the Dragon Empire. Millions of years completely erased the giant tribes of Lost Solo. Dragon Empire should have also been lost to the weight of years. The subcontinent provided a relatively small geographic area for a burgeoning population of gargantuan dragons. They were trapped in a pocket dimension under a red dome that dimmed and darkened to simulate day and night. Through arcane research, the mages of the Empire determined that only an outside force of tremendous power could release them. Harmonic Horizon led them through the gauntlet. He ruthlessly applied the same tactical genius that he used against the giants to the survival of his people. He limited the population of true dragons to what the island could support, around 1,000 at any time. He used rituals to the five-headed mother to convert any remaining eggs into a race that could more easily live on the island, the Dragonborn. He instituted a more rigid caste society in the Dragon Empire, designed to use only as many resources and the land could generate. He encouraged intra-clan warfare to keep the population at a controllable level. He maintained an entire civilization through force of will for 100,000 subjective years, never letting anything fall out of order. Then the red dome of heaven fell, and the Harmonic Horizon's carefully maintained mind broke. Oh, he was keeping cool, calm, and collected until this happened. I remain, through force of will alone, my children lost to the weight of time, my morals broken on the wheel of necessity. The Dragon Empire is all that is left. Nothing else is real. It can't be. Or I have made a grave mistake. Potato, fox, potato, buzz, five-headed mother of us all, forgive me. That is a quote from Harmonic Horizon, Emperor of the Dragon Empire. Trouble on the horizon. Today, the Emperor has somehow lived for more than 100,000 years and remains in control of the Dragon Empire. He was the most powerful dragon in the world when he went into exile an age of the world ago. He still appears to be so today. He remains isolated in his eyrie in Horizon's View Mountains, except for his annual imperial progress. From the eyrie, Harmonic Horizon makes confusing, sometimes conflicting, imperial proclamations that are taken as proofs of the truth and fallacy, and enforced as law by the Inquisitors of the Red Dome of Heaven, which another tooltip and a link to an article. They range from the ridiculous, everyone must wear purple on the third day of the week, to the life-changing, your 8th child shall be given to me as a retainer or as a sacrifice. Wow. So he went quite mad toward the end of his reign. And this sidebar, of course, has a link to Kitoypoy's summer camp pledge, which is great. Then they have the current status of the Emperor, which is ruling the Empire. Current location, Tolligan. Age, 110,000 years. He's male. His eyes are burning fire. Hair is fire of heaven. Skin tone, golden scales. Height, tall as the red dome of heaven. Oh, wow. Weight, the weight of all gold. Belief deity, the five-headed monster. Aligned organization, Dragon Empire. And then there are linked articles about Tolligan, so we can learn more. Dragon Empire, so we can learn more. So this was a nice little article, and yes, it had nice CSS, and yes, they did credit also the cover image, which is awesome. I appreciate this article. It's very nice. It had some good quotes. It had a lot of links to other things that, we could learn about. And yes, all right, let's see. Colonel says, okay, gotta go or won't get up in the morning. Aw, see you later, Colonel. Thank you so much for joining in to the stream. I appreciate you. Have a blessed night. Let's catch up on the chat a bit. Let's see. Wild Zoo Guy says, I've considered starting a world anvil, but I have too many characters and I'd want to make art for all of them. That's right, but you can always start without art. Colonel says, get on it. A journey starts with the first step. That's right. That's what I always say. If you look at this article and think, oh, wow, they have art, they have good CSS, they have everything. I don't know how to do that. Well, guess what? Don't care about that. Just go ahead and do what you can, and we can improve it as we go along. Let's see. Dream Cartographer says it's an excellent use of Hero Forge images. Correct. Yes. All right. So that was great. That was a great article. Very interesting. And I want to go back and read through a bit more because there was a lot of links. There were a lot of links and tooltips that I would love to know more about. And next we have, there is a guest in the chat, eccbooks, and we are going to read about Abraham the Honest. Now, the thing about eccbooks, I like how he adds a lot of real world things in like an alternate dimension. So, of course, many of you will probably know that Abraham the Honest is probably based on a character in real life. We will see what creative freedoms ECC book takes with the character. Kitoypoy says, I'm fighting mid-journey addiction, replacing all my art on some older articles. Thanks for the read. No problem. Thank you. I appreciate you submitting, and I'm glad that you allowed me to read them on stream. That was nice of you. Yes, I see a lot of people are looking at Midjourney and all kinds of different AI generated art styles and things. They're adding so many things to their articles, and that's an interesting genre to get into, AI generated art and stuff like that. Yes, Katoy says Abe is super cool. Let's read about it. Abraham the Honest is the national hero of the free cities of Nunya and was one of the most influential leaders in Edenian history. So yes, as I said, ECC Books has a lot of alternate history, as Dream Cartographer says, and it's very interesting to see the different characters. I've seen characters like Peter Pan. I've seen real world fixtures like, of course, Abraham Lincoln. And there's so many interesting things you can do and take real life things and other fiction and kind of make fan fiction in a way, but it becomes your own, and that's always interesting to see from ECC Books. So yes, as ECC Books has said, it's quite a long article. It's not too long. Let's see. I like the portrait here. Born Abraham Lincoln during the 16th iteration of reality, which again, there's a link to this, reboots, of course. That is what they're called. He was brought to Eden by a world-ending calamity, which while still in his 40s, already an accomplished lawyer and statesman, but not yet the transformative earthling figure he would soon go on to become in most other versions of the universe. So I like how already there's lots of links to other articles that will give us more information if we are confused. The story of Abraham's arrival in Eden is legend. His washing ashore near the garden, his taking shelter in the Edenian Athenaeum, which again, there's a link to that so that we can know what that is, to get his bearings, and his subsequent discovery in the stacks there of the book that would change his life, Blood on the Moon, the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So that is very meta, how he washed up upon a shore and learned about his death in another reality. Appearance and personality. Abe was a towering figure with a sharp wit and thirst for knowledge. Though plagued by depression throughout his life and almost swallowed whole by that condition as he read book after book about his alternate selves in the halls of the Athenaeum, he was generally an optimistic man, and quite hard to fluster. His even temper meant that he was seldom roused to anger, though his fury could be quite unrelenting when it did make an appearance. Perhaps because he'd found so many bearded depictions of himself from other iterations of reality, this Abraham Lincoln kept himself clean-shaven until his dying days. And once he dug himself out of the pits of despair he fell into while reading deeply about the assassination he'd avoided when his world ended, once he realized, for good and all, that he didn't want to die, Abe focused a great deal of attention on maintaining his physical fitness. He was still tall as ever, but he could no longer be accurately described as lanky. He was for a long time, in fact, considered one of the most desirable men in Eden, his too large ears and nose notwithstanding. And actually, those bulbous features made him even more attractive to the dwarven population, which gave rise to a bumper crop of Honest Abe fanfic. Interesting. Which, of course, Abe read, because he read everything, even if it made him blush uncontrollably. early life, Abraham the Honest was born in an earthling log cabin on February 12, 1809, to Thomas and Nancy Hanks Lincoln. His early life proceeded, as in most iterations of reality, exactly the way it did in the real world, which there's a link to that as well. He grew up in the American states of Kentucky and Indiana, was taught formally only on seldom occasions and usually by itinerant teachers, and spent a lot of his time doing chores on his father's farms. But though he took his farm work seriously and did more than his fair share to support his family, he was also an avid reader and never missed a chance to improve himself with a good book. Beyond book learning, he also became quite adept at handling an axe and in the sport of catch wrestling, which there is a tooltip to tell what that is. A classical hybrid grappling style and combat sport popularized by wrestlers of traveling fun fairs. And the source is given, Wikipedia. Adulthood on Earth. As with his childhood and adolescence, Abe's adulthood on Earth proceeded mostly according to the goddess River's grand cosmic plan. Abe met and married Mary Todd. He had 4 sons, served as a captain in the Illinois militia, and later served in that state's legislature. He practiced law, and according to Wikipedia, which they do link, which is never wrong, funny, he emerged as a formidable trial combatant during cross-examination and closing arguments. He served 1 term as a member of the United States House of Representatives from Illinois' 7th District. Then he began to emerge as a leader in the nascent Republican political party. It was during his years as a prairie lawyer on the American frontier, while he worked largely on behalf of the Illinois Central Railroad, work that first earned him the nickname Honest Abe, that the timeline of Earth 16 diverged from the divine plan. A distraught South Carolinian from the Reconstruction era, once again a tooltip, awesome, unstuck himself in time and arrived in Lincoln's Illinois during the aftermath of the 1858 U.S. Senate election, which Lincoln had lost, but which would mark the beginning of newspapers declaring him a potential Republican presidential candidate for 1860. The unstuck Southerner, hoping to stop the Civil War before it happened, had traveled through time to convince Lincoln not to run for president. And when he succeeded in introducing doubt into Lincoln's heart, despite the best efforts of cosmic butterflies to dissuade him, which this is a sapient being, that's interesting. I would love to read more about that as well. The 16th iteration of reality came to an end. Adulthood in Eden. After spending his first few weeks in Eden doing a little bit of reading, Abe emerged from the Edenian Athenaeum, determined to do as much good in this place as he was apparently meant to do back on Earth. He rode north to Narnia. All of the political entities in Eden, the free cities, intrigued Abe the most. Oh, of all the political entities in Eden, the free cities intrigued Abe the most. The way that government balanced the collective power of the group with the freedoms of the individual entities within said group, I don't know if it's meaning within said group, that seemed to Abe to be some sort of platonic ideal, potentially the next logical step in the American experiment he'd left behind. He'd have to see whether they handled systemic evils like slavery back home any better than the country he'd left behind. But the Nunyans showed promise. Yes, eccbooks says that I was right. That was a typo. It was supposed to say within instead of within, but that's fine. Based both on the reputation of his alternate selves and on the way he conducted himself in the here and now, Abe quickly rose to prominence in the Nunyan politics, and yet destiny seemed determined to transform him into the same kind of figure of controversy he was meant to be in mid-19th century Earth. When Abe was elected to participate in the final laudation ceremony for the first ever, and there's a link to these things, for the first ever Kindlen Illand night, he inadvertently ignited the flames that would spark the Nunyan Civil War. But though Abe would take the blame in some circles for starting the conflict, he would eventually be redeemed in the eyes of most Nunyans for bringing a swift end to it after the decisive battle of Kirbyville. And the love and support he was given for restoring Nunya to its former glory would eventually lead to him being elected Nunyan representative to the Council of Five, a position he was so suited for that he is still the standard against which Nunyans measure their council representatives to this day. The profile photograph is a remix of a Creative Commons photograph by Alexander Hessler from 1857, which that is a great credit. Thank you for crediting that. That's awesome. Species human, ethnicity Earthling, date of birth February, life 1809 to 1911, 102 years old. Gray eyes, coarse black hair, 6'4", 180 pounds, and his aligned organization is the Free Cities of Nanya. That actually was not too long of an article, and it was very interesting. And I would love to. I'm always intrigued by eccbooks world, how it coincides with ours and coincides with other fiction and coincides with real world things, and I like to see how he takes these characters and spins them. So let's see. eccbooks says, thanks for the read. No problem. Thank you for allowing me to read it. kitoypoy says, Abe is super cool. Dream Cartographer says, 16th iteration of reality. Hot dang, I'm super intrigued now. Dream Cartographer says, I really hope the shifting reality of Wikipedia facts that become absolute truth in the moment they're added is somehow canon in this world. Alright, so that's good stuff. And this is another example of there's not much fancy CSS or anything. And even how the sidebar is made, it's not too bad that it cuts off here, just the way how everything's kind of, you know, everything's the same color for one. It doesn't look kind of off kilter. But yeah, I don't think that how eccbooks did this article, I don't think that it's necessarily essential for you to fill out the sidebar, because it looks very sleek and slimlined the way it is. And this is nice how you did this. I appreciate this article, and it was very interesting. Alright. Yes. Dazzlinkat says, good stuff, ECC. And Dream Cartographer says, yes, this was fantastic. It was. It was quite fantastic. I like it. Let's see. Akara Gon Sa. I'm not sure how to pronounce that either, but it is strixxline's article. And I don't know if they're still here. But I am now reading your article, strixxline. And there it is in the chat, just in case you want to click and read along. As Dream Cartographer says, yes, it's not fancy, but it's super clean and visually appealing. Visually appealing. That's correct. So I don't think that it needs much more, or it will feel cluttered. So I like how you did that article, eccbooks. Very nice. kitoypoy says, good stuff as usual, Chris. Correct. All right. So this is strixxline's article, Akara Gon Sa. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. eccbooks says, thank you, everyone. Yes. Let me get some water. Yes, strixxline is still here, and they say you've got it right. Great. All right. Akara Gon Sa. I implore you to see the beauty in making and creating and bringing life to wonders only seen deep in dreams within dreams. Callidus was once a dream within a dream. Look at it now. These spires were wrought from our own working hands, every stone meticulously laid with care, every pane of glass assembled and installed with critical precision. This city will one day be your charge, young apprentices. What wonders will you bestow upon her? And that's an address by Akara Gon Sa at the guild's initiation ceremony. Very interesting. I'm gonna just click this secret group, because I do not want to expose all of the Game Master secrets on stream for you. strixxline. Okay. Akara Gon Sa is the leader of the Black Glass Consortium, which there's a link to that there, so we can know what that is. And former High Grand Master and leader of the Balkan Glass Crafters Guild, which there's another link to that article, which is great. Elevating the trades. The guild's system existed in Callidus, once again another link, long before Akara began her leadership in the consortium. But her guidance helped shape them into what they are now, and, more importantly, helped market them to the broader trade market beyond Balkan. Suddenly, her isolated people were now sought out for their crafts and trades, and many Balkan merchants carrying consortium sanctioned goods find great success abroad and overseas. Akara is well known by the people of Camagan for her ambition and dreams of making Balkan crafts a worldwide staple. In some nearby regions, this has already become true. Interesting art, and this is by Midjourney as well. A lot of people like Midjourney. It's very interesting. Apprentice to master. Beginning her career as an apprentice glass crafter, Akara was enamored by the visual arts and their application to the trades and sought to bind them as one. In her time as young glass crafter, the art of combining her craft with architectural technique was not unheard of, but was not yet the defining trait of the Glass Crafters Guild. She worked her way through the ranks of the Glass Crafters Guild quickly, through a combination of skill and innovation and a dash of professional cunning, earning herself a seat at the Grandmaster's table. Akara was the youngest guild member to be appointed a Grandmaster seat in the guild's history at the age of 28. Through demonstrated ability and leadership, ambitious visions for the future of the guilds, and a dedication to the elevation of the trades as a whole, Akara was appointed leader of the Black Glass Consortium after 10 years as a Grandmaster of the Glasscrafters Guild. Let's see, it takes far more than cunning to rule in the trades. One must stoke the fire burning within. There's lots of nice quotes in this article. They tell the organizations. She's the leader of the Black Glass Consortium, Glass Crafters Guild, residents, Balkan Camagan, Black Glass Guild Hall. She's Balkan ethnicity and Flameheart Iskani race. The good thing is there's a link to all of these things. Seeking all tradespeople. Akara spearheaded the movement in Camagan, which popularized the trades on a mass scale, pushing greater prestige onto tradecraft professions. As becoming recognized as a grandmaster in many trades became more competitive than ever before. Hard choices. Akara was quoted to have said that she much lamented having to choose between one station or the other when asked to take on the mantle of master of the Black Glass Consortium, but had no regrets in leaving the Glasscrafters Guild behind to accept the position. And this is a nice article that is, for the most part, lined up with the body. The sidebars kind of lined up with the contents, which is awesome. This is a nice world setup as well. I do like the quotes and how this looks very nice. Like a little written note. That was pretty nice. Dream Cartographer says, dreams within dreams, watching up on strange shores. This dream is turning into Inception. LOL. Yes. These are very nice quotes that make you think, and I just like how this article is very nice and outlined. And yeah, you have a little author's note, which is nice as well. You credited the artwork, so that's awesome. Yes, this was a nice little article. It wasn't overbearing. It had some good quotes. It had lots of links to other places where you can figure out about things that you don't know about, and I like the formatting. It's pretty nice. This was a nice joy to read. Good job. Next we have Johan of Tangermunde by Dazzlinkat. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. If you're still here, Dazzlinkat, please correct me if that was not correct. But yes, there's the link to it in the chat if you would like to read along. Yep, it's good, says Dazzlinkat. Great. Ooh, that's some interesting art there. Johan of Tangermunde. The life of Johan. So see, there's I see they have a sticky sidebar as well, which is pretty nice. And they have another Hero Forge portrait, which is cool. The life of Johan. Johan was born in Tangermunde Castle to a chambermaid named Anna. His father was Frederick II, the son of Frederick I Hohenzollern, the elector for the Margravate of Brandenburg. Sorry if I'm butchering all these things. Tangermunde was the family estate before Frederick I became an elector, and he spent his winters there and ed to Frederick II, dallying with the servant woman. Johan's birth was proof of Frederick II's virility, so Anna was gifted a generous payment before she was told to leave. It was, and still is, tradition for bastard sons to be raised well away from their father's lands and potential scandals. Anna, worried that Frederick II just might decide to kill her son if the politics changed for him, worked very hard to live a quiet life hidden from notice. She went to Berlin. Anna sent Johan to children's church every Wednesday, where he learned to read, write, math, and the catechism. Johan excelled at his studies, and Anna was very pleased when Master Roland, a bookbinder, offered to take him in as an apprentice. With great relief and joy that her son would grow into a profession, Anna agreed. Johan grew up and learned the business of bookbinding. He completed his catechism in the children's church. At the age of 14, he was confirmed in his local church and could attend church as a man and no longer attend children's church. This was a momentous occasion that freed him to start learning Master Roland's true but very secret profession, wizarding. Free of having to attend children's church, Anna impressed upon him to start calling himself John of Berlin, with him being, I think it's being instead of being, older, and his father having ambitions of becoming an elector, someone just might to profit from his bloodline. She also suggested that, instead of coming home for visits, she would visit him when she felt safe doing so. Master Roland suggested Anna move to another district of the city where she was not known. Dazzlinkat says, yes, typos galore. It's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's understandable still. There she could live as though she has lost her son and declare her visits as going to visit her cousin and his family. He even insisted on paying for her room at a spinster's boarding house. Anna agreed. For 10 years they carried out the plan with no worry that Frederick II would ever bother Johan. But then, when Johan turned 21, his father's wife birthed a son. Anna was revisited by harsh men working for Frederick II, who painfully questioned her about the whereabouts of Johan. She insisted that Johan had died in a terrible accident. They eventually left, but with door warnings that they would be back should they find she had lied. Their hunt failed, and after 2 years, Anna's story was believed, and Frederick II decided to stop wasting his money. For Anna, Johan and Master Roland brought her, I believe it's supposed to be, to live out the rest of her days with them. The questioning had left her crippled, but her final years were happy. For Johan, the hunt for him destroyed any lingering hope that there would ever be acceptance. If the elector could not tolerate the existence of his only bastard son, he would never accept a wizard. From then on, Johan dedicated his life to building and growing the Shadow Network, which there's a link to an article, which is good, so we can know what that is. Saving his fellow wizards and their families became his greatest purpose. He became known as the Dragonfly, the title given to the one wizard who started the network. To this day, he still works to keep them secret. His network has grown into a culture, a way of living for so many people, and he always will see to their protection. So Johan's longevity. It has been realized by some that it has been realized by some that Johan has lived an unnaturally long time. 370-something years old and still doing the same work since he was 21 will draw some notice from those who think to look. His documents claim he is a bastard grandson of the first Johan, but papers can be faked, especially with magic. What no one knows is that Johan once traveled to a mystical place called the Gritty Bazaar, which there's another link to that article, which is great. There he had an interesting encounter with a very drunk Bacchus, who gave him a flask that always refilled itself with a strange golden honey brandy. This brandy prolongs his life and heals him, should he take ill or is injured. Well, that's very interesting. So this is an interesting article, interesting art. Is there a crediting of art? Cover image by, yes, it's credited. Character portrait by Dazzlinkat. Correct. So yes, it's great. This is a nice, short to the point article. The color scheme is nice and not too overbearing. The sticky sidebar is a great addition. I like that. And there's a bunch of interesting information, and when I don't know about something, there's always a link still to learn more, so that is something that I appreciate. So thank you so much for letting me read that article, Dazzlinkat. I appreciate that. This was quite a good article to read. We have 3 more. Oh man, Colonel, I should have read his while he was here. I didn't realize that he was on here. But it's okay. We're going to go to Guildmaster Thora Rahmani by Dragonscribbles. Dazzlinkat says, thanks for reviewing. No problem. Kitoypoy says, then for the read, getting in the car now, so I have to head out. Alright, thanks for stopping by, Kitoypoy. Have a blessed one. Thank you, I appreciate it. Alright, so we have this article here. Guildmaster Thora, Mistress of the Hammer, Speaker of the Synod of Tiver. This is by Dragonscribbles. Alright. aka Old Ironhide, she, her. Resilience is not the ability to go unbroken. Resilience is bringing broken time and again, then standing up anyway. Guildmaster Thora. Guildmaster Thora, Mistress of the Hammer, Speaker of the Synod of Tiver, has had a long and winding journey to her current life. She is known for her fair judgment, her no-nonsense approach to life, and her aura of charisma. She has been to the ends of the world and back again, has suffered loss, and continues to get back up to her feet. Guildmaster Thora was born and raised in a small town in the mountains of Tiver to a family of blacksmiths. In the brittle mountain winters, the smithy was a common community gathering place to exchange news and gossip. From a young age, Thora would watch and listen as the townsfolk spilled their grievances to her parents' sympathetic ears while they worked in the forges. As she grew, she took on small tasks for the smithy, carrying water, fetching coal, and running errands. It was expected that she would apprentice to follow in her parents' footsteps, but fate had other designs. Just shy of her first decade, her parents lost their smithy due to the underhanded dealings of a local businessman, forcing them to seek work elsewhere. Her parents took their household, which now included her 2 younger siblings, down the mountains to a larger coastal town on one of the popular trade routes. This is where Thora fell in love with the tall ships. After months of dogging the recruiters, Thora had herself accepted into the Shipwrights Guild, training to become a ship's carpenter. She took to it, as they say, like a fish to water. She spent her journeyman years first in the shipyards of the city, then as an assistant carpenter on a merchant vessel making runs across the Scatsian Sea between Tiver and Angra. It was during one of these merchant runs that she experienced her first shipwreck, the vessel being attacked by a dancing lady, a sea monster dubbed with the moniker because when their massive noses breach the water, their black underbellies droop and billow as the gravity takes the buoyancy out of their flaps. The ship was reduced to splinters, the crew left clinging to the debris on the unforgiving sea. Though she and most of the crew survived, her right leg was neatly snipped off mid-shin by a scavenging shark while they waited for rescue. Her missing limb was replaced with a wooden prosthetic grown from the Tree of Life and has only needed to be replaced 4 times since, though to be fair, most having only one would suffice. The Shipwrights Guild at the time encouraged her to leave off seafaring and take up shore work, but Thora refused. Instead, she crossed the mountains to the other side of Tiver and made her way to the harbor of Bayrak, where she easily found herself a new vessel. Word of mouth has it that any ship she set foot on would last a full 4 death runs longer than any other. It was during these years making death runs that Thora met her partner, a Tivani navigator and lore master named Marak. Over the course of the next 2 decades, they outlived 6 ships together. But as a lore master, Marac's passion was for the lost Hollow City. When one day, during a layover in Barak, word came to them of the ill-fated Munilan expedition, nothing could dissuade him from joining. Thora objected, alarmed by the expedition's lack of preparedness and the green arrogance of their leader. The two had a falling out, and Thora stayed behind in Barak. Marak departed with the Munilan expedition, traveling up the western branch of the river Tirvide. He was never seen again. Heartbroken, no longer able to face the river where her lover had worked and died, Thora crossed the mountains again to the familiar coast of the Caspian Sea. There, leadership woes in the Shipwrights Guild had been tangling a web of trouble years in the making. It turned out that the only thing that could overcome Thora's love of sailing was her passionate hatred of injustice. For the first time, Thora involved herself in the guild's politics, quickly becoming a vocal advocate for safe and fair working conditions, gaining the support of fellow guild members. Thora was able to work her way into the ranks, where she was able to achieve agency towards making practical and beneficial changes. Over time, this brought her into the city's council and eventually to becoming the Guildmaster of the Shipwrights. As the Guildmaster of a powerful organization in Tibur, it brought her into the Republic's larger political scene. Her innate ability to sit down and shut up led to her recent election to the position of Speaker to the Senate, which is interesting. But in all of the intervening years, she has never forgotten her experience on the river. And when the desperate proposal came from Rosted to send a new, better prepared and fully supported expedition up the river Trivide in search of the Hollow City, she turned it down flat, until it became clear that Lunland's sanctuary zone had begun to fall. Guildmaster Thora reluctantly agreed to allowing the resources of Tibur to be added to the Vasirius expedition. She inspected the ship personally before allowing it to leave Byrock's harbor. After all, any ship that she set foot on would last at least 4 death runs longer than any other. Perhaps there may also have been a small hope that in this expedition, with proper leadership and support, she could fulfill her lover's last wish to find the lost city at last. Find it, they did. So they did find it. Alright, so there's a picture of her. Current status, organizing a diplomatic visitation to the Hollow City for the Council of 7. She's a human, 91 years old, piercing brown eyes, black shading to gray hair, 5'4", 101 pounds. She's aligned in Tibur, and other affiliations are the Council of 7 and Tibur Shipwrights Guild. Interesting article. I would have liked to see more links to other articles because there were some things that I did not understand. It would be great to learn more about them, either to link them in the sidebar so that it can extend, or either just tooltip them or link them in the text. But yes, that was a very interesting article. Thank you so much for allowing me to read that on stream. But yeah, my only advice would be to add some pronunciations and some links to other things that are that I'm not sure of. More information to other articles, or just brief explanations. Is there credit? Character portrait image? Yes, by Dragonscribbles. So they did that themselves. So that's a nice portrait. I like it. Alright. Next we have Charlemagne by Colonel 101. Unfortunately, Colonel had to leave, but we will just review this very quickly. I know that we are already almost at an hour and 30 minutes of stream. But yes, Charlemagne by Colonel 101. Colonel 101 always has nice art up here. And I see, firstly, the sidebar is a little bit more lengthy than the actual article. That's fine. We'll read it and see. Charlemagne is known as the Great King of the Franks. He has reigned from the 9th of October to tlcassis says you're over. Well, I was expecting it to probably run into 2 hours at least. It looks like it's not quite gonna hit 2 hours because yeah, we only have one more here. But yeah, not really over the normal streams. I usually only stream an hour, but I figured with so many articles we would have to at least run about 2 hours, which is fine. Thank you guys for hanging in there with me. There's a lot to do. Let's see. Charlemagne is known as the Great King, as the Great and King of the Franks. He has reigned from 9th of October, 768 over the Franks and the Lombards from 10th of July, 700.
Obligatory associate!
Who just followed me? It's Andrew. It's just Andrew has just followed me. Thank you for the follow. I don't know if you're watching the stream, but I appreciate you following. Yes. Cool. Sorry, that caught me off guard. Let's see. He belongs to the Merovingian dynasty. He has also birthed the Carolingian dynasty. It's just Andrew says, hi. Hello. Wild Guy says welcome. I look so pretty. Well, thank you. Let's see. Charlemagne is currently living in the palace of Aachen and leading the war against the Saxons. He is Christian and greatly respected. During his reign, he proved powerful and popular with his name meaning Charles the Great. He is the son of the previous king, Pepin the Short. At the same time, he was classed as technically illegitimate, though with his father marrying his mother, Petrana of Leon, he was able to claim the throne. During this period, he successfully united the Franks and managed to take control of Lombardy, giving him the titles of King of the Franks and King of the Lombards. He has managed to take over the region of Iberia called Aquitaine and help drive many of the Lombard tribes out of the Papal States, who now back him as a strong, forceful ally in Europe. At the same time, he has sent ambassadors to the Abbasid Caliphate and has the Duchy of Croatia as a satellite state as well. So far, he has little contact on a daily basis with the commoners, going through the nobles wherever he can. Going through the nobles where he can. With the present Saxon war, he just does not have time with his regular duties and the war to deal with everything. He was recently to Lutgard. I'm not sure what that means. Until earlier in the year, 800 AD, and has a number of children, including his successor, Louis the Pious. Alright, and there is a portrait of him, and I believe that this is also based on a real person. Hawk-nosed, greasy-haired, noble, sharp, nasty streak, good fencer with a rapier. Character location, Parisis. Let's see, there's a whole character profile you can view. Then there's a little quote here, as Colonel was talking about before. I met him regularly. Charlemagne is a good king, fair but firm. He wouldn't have started this war if the Saxons didn't raid our lands and kill our people. The attacks on holy sites was the last straw. He had to act and be seen to be aggressive. Everywhere he goes now is with his scale mail and long sword. Even not wearing them, he has them close by. If I can get an audience for Fleek, Grimace, and the others, I will no doubt about it. They are likely to be given land and title there, as long as they are willing to carry out basic jobs for the king. Shouldn't be out of their depth, though. And that was a quote from Count Diath Nobleman dealing with Iman Canis on behalf of Charlemagne. So his alignment is a lawful neutral. He's currently holding court in the Palace of Aachen. He's a human, ethnicity Pharynx, other ethnicity Germanic. He's 54 years old, born April 2nd, 747 AD. Birthplace, Liege, Hirstel, or Aachen. Family, Franks. Palace of Aachen, he's male, brown hair, brown eyes, brown flowing hair, pale skin. He's Christian, Roman Catholic. aligned with the Franks. And then also, 101 Colonel is a game master, so he has some plots that he's related to. He makes an appearance there, related reports, and world locations, the lair below the tower. Which this is a very interesting article, and yes, I am very interested in it. eccbooks says, thanks for the stream and for reading my article. Gotta run because the laptop's battery is about to die. Alright, have a blessed one. Bye, eccbooks. Thanks you for stopping by, and thank you for letting me read your article. Yes, again, Charlemagne, I believe, is based on a real-life person as well. Kind of like Abraham was. So it's nice to see Colonel putting this in the world. And as a game master, I believe that Colonel has like games going set in certain time periods, and therefore they have certain real figures and fixtures in the world, which is always interesting to do. Personally, I don't have a good time doing that, adding real life things. I talked about this before, but some people do it very well, and I think that Charlemagne was done pretty well. The only thing, of course, as I'm going to say, is I would like some more links to other things that we might not know about, and this sidebar is extremely long in comparison to the contents, which usually is the other way around. The contents are longer than the sidebar. I think this looks a little bit weirder than when the contents are longer than the sidebar. So I would suggest maybe putting more art in the content field, maybe putting a few quotes from him. But I know that this Colonel was like getting those articles out there, and it was amazing how he was able to publish all these articles and reach Diamond so quickly. So yes, this was a great article. I enjoyed reading it, and yeah, those were just some little chips. So Colonel, if you're watching this in the future, thank you so much for letting me read your article. Sorry you weren't able to stay up and watch it live, but yes, I will go ahead and if you have any questions, let me know in DMs after the fact, if you're watching this after the fact. Then the last article is Councillor Robert Foster, and that's by DesdemonaRose. And after this, we will go ahead and we will end the stream. First, before we get into Councillor Robert Foster, we're going to catch up on the chat. Let's see. Well, Zugaisis, welcome to It's Just Andrew. A dream cartographer's scariest jump scare so far was Sleepy and someone was loud. Oop. Yes, I always get jump scared, even though I'm totally aware. I get jump scared every time. They're all welcoming. It's just Andrew. It's just Andrew says that you guys are so nice. Elaborating on stuff further can also help. That's right. So, yes, it's just Andrew. If there are more things that you want to add to the article just to fill it up, elaborating on certain things, you could talk about a certain instance instead of just glossing over it. You can go a little bit more in depth with it. Dream Cartographer says you've been talking a lot about tooltips and pronunciations. I think an interesting way to add audio to articles would be a short audio clip with pronunciations of names and world-specific words, like in tooltips if possible. Yes, tlcassis. Yes, I actually did an article about adding sounds and audio to your world. And I'm just gonna search that really quick before we get into DesdemonaRose's article. So if you guys would like to figure out how to do that, go ahead and check out this article. It's pretty neat. And this was from Carillian's Imaginarium. Carillian, he likes to put get the world Anvilites together to kind of make master articles about different things that can help other world builders. And I actually did this whole article talking about how you can add audio to your world. You can add sounds from SoundCloud. You can add videos from YouTube. You can add Spotify. You can add Podbean. There's so many things you can do. So just check out that article and you will see some cool things that you can do on World Anvil. And there's the codex here as well. that helps you with all that kind of stuff. If you want to go to the World Anvil Codex, some of this does not come with a free membership, of course. But if you are a Grandmaster, you can add these kinds of things into your world, and it's pretty neat. I talked a lot about all kinds of different things you can add to your world. All kinds of audio, and also just some little quotes in the sidebar. Let's see, it's just Andrew says, also adding more about characters is fun via some events. Can showcase character in really cool ways to showcase some problem solving skills or something. Plus a good story hook. Hooks you like nothing. Correct. So yes, if we want to fill up the Charlemagne article, then it would be great to add more instances and stories and things like that. If that can help you out. And finally, yes, tlcassis says, great, thank you for that article. And feel free to, if you have any questions about it, there's a cool little, cute little video that I filmed in the sidebar as well, if you would like to read that. I mean, watch it. And it has audio and stuff like that, so, yeah. We're going to get into Councillor Robert Foster, and then we can close out. Councillor Robert Foster is one of the current Talitha Harbor age 985. Council of 13. That's weird how it's placed. Okay. The 13 makes sure that ecology, the document that preserves the planet and human dignity, is maintained. They will sometimes represent the vocation that they came from. So the ecology is linked, which is good. I'm confused at this. One of the current Council of the 13 makes sense, but I don't understand Talitha Harbor age 985. Unless if that's like the age of the world, like the timeline that they're in, maybe. I would want to ask Desdemona about this. Early life. Robert was the firstborn of Adam and Mondo Foster. He also has a sibling named Griffin, who's 2 souls younger than him. When Talithan children are born, Talithans do not assign them a gender. When Robert was 5, he announced that he was a boy with he him pronouns. Griffin didn't declare gender of the child and kept they them. When Griffin became an adult, they changed their name to Elaresha after the Elaresha flower mountain shrub and changed pronouns to Zer. Robert grew up with 2 fathers, which is not unusual in Talithan society. This is a culture where gender isn't assigned at birth or attached to one's physical form. Parents are designated as father, parent, mother, or any other chosen title that is indicative of reproductive organs. In Robert and Griffin's case, they were the product of their parents' DNA, though they both identified as men and their fathers. Interesting. Physical description, body features. Robert is a little on the taller side and has bright amber eyes. He doesn't particularly stand out physically, though. He wears the free vocation-made clothes most of the time, which also makes him blend in. He is distinct when he's wearing his Councillor shoulder bands, but only because it is a notable and rare position in Talithan society. During celebrations, when Talithans wear custom-made and dyed fabrics, Robert leans towards solid colors in green or brown. Mental characteristics. Education. Robert attended primary school, as all Talithan children are required to do. When it was time for him to choose, he put the protection vocation as his number 1, then the vocations of his fathers as his next choices. The protection vocation was more than happy to take him under their wing. It is one of the larger vocations and always has openings. When the time came for him to choose a branch, he chose investigation without any hesitation. He knew he would work with ecologists and the preservation vocation in that role. Plus, he would be able to seek out the other Talithans who were not following the rules. His father Adam took care of the environment. His father Mondo made sure Talitha Harbor and ancient Earth history wasn't forgotten. He would protect the planet in a third way, employment. Robert started his work in the protection vocation under the investigation branch. His investigative skills were pretty average. However, he quickly proved to be a natural at interrogations. He had a warmth about him that made it easier for people to relax. His friendlessness, somewhat unusual in conversations where the person was suspected, often helped him gain information when the more traditional interrogations didn't work. When he became a Tier 2 investigator, he shifted from working full investigations to specializing in interrogations. If the subject was especially difficult or suspected of lying, he would take over. Their society is cooperative. Working with that instead of against it would more often than not work better. As soon as Robert hit his minimum time to qualify for Tier 3, he completed the opening of subject matter expert. He felt he'd learned as much as he could regarding his previous duties and wanted to have more influence over the investigation branch. Robert was a popular investigator and showed a lot of dedication to his craft. They gave him his advancement soon after he requested it. He had already started training other investigators, but when he became a Tier 3, it was a sole job. He would teach those who graduated as well as students. After he had served as a specialist for 7 souls, the counselor appointed by the protection vocation retired. Robert put his name on the list for the position and easily won. He became one of the council of 13 at 36 souls, which is on the younger side, though he was not the youngest. At the time, it was the 33 souls, though that number would be beaten in a few souls by another counselor. So it seems like souls are years. Let's see. Dream Cartographer says 985th age. Yeah, that was from the beginning. Okay, let's see. It's just Andrew says, but I came here near the end and it was still interesting, so good job on getting attention only by your writing. It's really cool and your style is very simplistic and easy to follow. Oh, thank you, but guess what? I cannot take credit for these. A lot of these articles I'm reading from other Anvilites from World Anvil, and I'm reading these great leaders of their people articles. So thank you for joining in, and I'm glad that you are enjoying the articles. But I put some in the chat, so you can check out all the people that were that I featured today, and read their things, because these were not just created by me. None of these were created by me, except for that one that I put in the chat about immersive audio. That's the only article that I wrote this time that I'm talking about today. The rest of these are created by other writers, so I do encourage you to check those people out. Oh, you're talking to the person who wrote it. That's right. Oh, cool. So, yes, DesdemonaRose, I'm not sure that she's here or not, but it's good to know that you enjoy that she's getting attention only by the writing. Sudian says, thank you for streaming today, Wordy Girl. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. This hasn't been linked in chat? Has it not? Oh, you know what? I realized that was not it, because I went and did the immersive audio, and that's why I forgot about it. There we go. DesdemonaRose, you guys please check her out. That's thank you so much, Dream Cartographer and Dazzlinkat, for reminding me that I did not link her article in the chat. Sorry about that. I got distracted by the adding audio into the world. Okay. So, what are we doing here? Where were we at? Robert is still serving in his role as counselor. He takes his role seriously. When he's acting as judge in trial, he is very strict, making sure they follow all rules. During counselor meetings, he will step in and cool arguments or get things back on track if the conversation derails for too long. Outside of work, he's everyone's best friend. When he's in his role, though, he takes it very seriously. The combination of his loyalty for his duties and his friends makes him a well-loved counselor. His devotion to so many distractions outside of his family, however, frustrates both his long-term partner, Luna, and his daughter. Mental trauma. Robert has had a mostly satisfying life in Talithan society. There was one event that clouds what would be a charmed life, however, the kidnapping of his daughter. She was gone for only 5 days, then dropped off in front of the I can't pronounce that, I'm sorry. Fortress. Fortress. She was physically unharmed, but the event took a mental toll on her, and she has had PTSD symptoms since. To add to the pain of the event, he knows the identity of the kidnapper, but investigators of Anunitum have never found him. On the day she was kidnapped, Luna had asked him to spend the day with the two of them. Instead, he spent it with another. She was taken during the festival for Founders' Day. He was at the festival, but nowhere near his daughter when she was lured away. He feels guilty for not being there. So sometimes it seems that he is a good leader, but he's putting his work before his family. Let's see. He also hates that no one has found the ousted counselor and kidnapper Michael Blackwood. He has threatened several times that if he ever finds him, then he'll drop his role as counselor and put a fist through Michael's face. These are words he only speaks around his immediate family, but he truly feels them. With his daughter, he has an on and off again relationship. He wants to be the dad who's always there for her, but he finds it challenging to do in practice. Before the kidnapping, he probably didn't spend as much time with her as he should have. His duties kept him busy, and he hated telling his friends no. Now, when he sees her, he just feels the pain from that day. He will put on a smile and suffer through it. There are days where he barely feels it, and on those days, he truly enjoys time with Margaretha. I'm not sure who that is. She's an adult now and an investigator with a life of her own. So he doesn't see her often, but he still tries to show up, even if it's mainly because Luna has insisted. Oh, maybe that is his daughter's name. Yes, Luna is his partner, and his daughter is Margaretha. Alright, morality and philosophy. Robert has held on to his love for Talitha Harbor for his entire life. He gets the most joy when he feels like he's really helped to preserve the planet and his people. If he is honest with himself, he gets more joy out of this than time with any of his partners or daughter. He doesn't always have duty that hit these high notes, however, and he doesn't want to completely ignore the people around him. When he is there for his friends, he is truly there for them. He'll happily be the shoulder that they can cry on. He tries to be careful and not stretch himself too thin, but he fails at this on a pretty regular basis. Once he realizes that he's emotionally exhausted, he'll dial back a little. Motivation. Robert's love for Talitha Harbor started at a very young age, with a lot of encouragement from his parents. They've devoted their lives to the preservation of the planet and the Talithan way of life. His father, preservationist Adam Foster, dedicated his life to the study and care of Talitha's harbors, native species. His other father, historian Mondo Foster, studied Earth's geopolitical trends to further the understanding of what drove these ancient humans to take part in their own destruction. Though his parents cared deeply about the preservation of Talitha's axioms, they still respected Robert as his own person and didn't demand that he agree with them. Regardless, he developed a reverence for Talitha and its structure. Robert showed his devotion in his request to join the protection vocation. Once he found his niche and devoted his time to it, building on the skills that would help Talitha. Robert has taken his duties very seriously, even at the expense of his time and relationships with family and friends. After his daughter's kidnapping in return, he backed away from the intense focus that he gave his position. He started spending a little more time with her and others that he cared about, though he could never fully pull back as much as he probably should, and he still spends more time with his counselor duties. So I do totally understand this, his thought process too. He's 47 souls, which is 56 Earth years. Alright, there's a lot of information from him in the sidebar. And again, the sidebar is not as long as the contents, but that's okay. I would just personally ask to link some articles of things that we don't know about. There were some things like this that were linked in the article, which was great, that we didn't know about. Like there's Founders Day. I don't know if there's an article about that, but if there is, there can be lots of related linked articles just lined up in the sidebar if you would like. But other than that, this is a very informative article, and I can relate to him as in the fact that sometimes I feel like I'm busy and I'm working too much and I'm doing too much, but I want to be with my family, and yet I have so many other duties and stuff like that. So this is a very relatable character. The story was told in an interesting way, as it's just Andrew did point out. Yes, the writing itself, even though there's no fancy CSS and all that stuff, the writing itself can captivate. and that was a great thing. But I would just want the sidebar to be extended. That's just a pet peeve of mine personally. And then some of these things that we would like more information about, either tooltips or just put them in the sidebar explaining what they are. And that would be my only advice. So let's see what the chat is saying. You should link your schedule of reading here to your YouTube TV stream page. Yes, so I don't have a set schedule this time because I'm trying to kind of accommodate everybody. So my next stream is going to be this Saturday, August 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, if that's the plan. That's the plan. But yes, I am trying to stream when I can. And this stream was the one that was the lengthiest yet because it had so many articles. I believe we covered 10 articles. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Yes. So Saturday is going to be only 5 articles. I appreciate you guys checking me out and staying with me for 2 hours as I read through these. And yes, the next time I stream, if everything goes according to plan, will be this upcoming Saturday, August 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which if you are in a different time zone, you would have to do the conversion yourself. I said EST when we're actually in daylight time right now, but it's too much, you know. They're supposed to be deleting daylight savings time soon, like in 2 years or something, but whatever. What is time, you know? But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for everybody who followed me and helped to jump scare us with someone's voice. Thank you for everybody chatting. I appreciate when you guys are just in the chat talking to each other, talking to me. I apologize to those who had to drop out early. If I did not get your article while you were here, I still appreciate you, especially like Colonel 101. I'm so sorry I didn't realize that I should have done his article like first because I didn't know that I was supposed to cover his article today. But hopefully, if you're watching this in the future, hopefully you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, let me know. Once again, the next stream is planned for this Saturday, 3 p.m. ET. So thank you guys so much. If you want my YouTube, I'm going to get Handsome Co-host to put it one more time. Thank you, Handsome Co-host. If you want to click that link, it will take you to everywhere that I can be found on social media, and you can scroll down and find the YouTube button, and you can click that, and there you will be able to see the YouTube posts, because once these streams end, I post them up on YouTube. So yeah, thank you once again. I appreciate every single one of you being here. I appreciate everybody who wrote the articles and was kind enough to allow me to read them on stream. Sorry if I butchered any names or if I, you know, didn't get something right. Be sure to let me know. I won't be offended. I hope I didn't offend you by getting it wrong. But yes, I have to go. I am tired and I should probably rest. So thank you guys once again. I appreciate you guys so much. God bless you all. And I know it's late for some of you guys, later than over here, so have a blessed evening, or if it's morning, you're just getting started, have a blessed morning. Wherever you are, all the time zones around the world. I appreciate so many people coming to check me out. So thanks once again, and have a blessed day, a night, evening, time zone, any day, whatever it is. Thank you. Love you guys, and God bless.